Joining us now to break down what's happening on Capitol Hill is Representative Mark Green, a Republican congressman serving Tennessee's 7th District. Congressman, when we look at what's happening today regarding the Rosenstein testimony, that's something that a lot of your Senate Republicans have been exercising their oversight, acknowledging the fact that the lower chamber is Democrat-controlled right now, and they've been going in different directions. So acknowledging what we saw so far from Rod Rosenstein, what are your takeaways from that?
I think the biggest takeaway, and first off, thanks for having me on the show. I think the biggest takeaway that just jumps right out at you is at the very beginning, he says, I thoroughly read the FISA application. I did not rubber stamp it. And then under, I guess you could call it cross-examination or questioning from Ted Cruz, he admits that, no, he just scanned it. He didn't really read it. So, I mean, this guy is either incredibly incompetent as an FBI person, or he's, trying to hide something. So, I mean, he contradicts his own testimony in front of the senators. It just pales.
And in fact, when that was going on, the special counsel investigation, your chamber actually was Republican controlled. And at that time, he did come in for some questioning, and Representative Matt Gaetz questioned him on that very question that you're talking about right now. And he gave a little bit of a different response. He said that he didn't read over that document. He said that he couldn't really give the full answer. Of course, it was one of those politically correct answers, if you will, where I can't talk about an ongoing investigation, which is a beautiful cop-out for any type of scrutiny when it comes to that. But would you like to see maybe further investigations when it comes to this? I mean, Rod Rosenstein was one of the big figures. Would you like to see maybe your Senate colleagues bring in a James Comey, an Andrew McCabe, other actors in this whole picture?
Absolutely. There's still an ongoing report. The Durham report, or the Durham investigation, is still sort of digging into this even further. But yeah, absolutely. I think, well, if he really said that, and with Matt Gaetz asking those questions, then he either lied to us or he lied to the Senate. So sure, I mean, if he's making false statements in front of the Congress, he needs to be held accountable to that.
And in fact, even regarding today's testimony, former FBI acting director Andrew McCabe has already come out and said that Attorney General Rod Rosenstein gave a false testimony about James Comey's memos documenting his interactions with President Trump. So we're getting different stories from a lot of the top brass of the Bureau. So that does suggest that there may be something a little bit different there, but I don't want to speculate. I want to get some answers when it comes to this. Rod Rosenstein came in. It's now a little bit on these other individuals to come in and give their perspective. But I do want to pivot for the time being back to coronavirus. It's something that has taken a little bit of a back seat over the past couple of days, but it's still very much so on the minds of a lot of elected officials. So when we look at a possible, an additional emergency relief bill is what they're calling it, do you think that that is something that will come to fruition sometime in the near future, or do you think it's a wait and see type of thing for the time being?
I think there probably will be another piece of legislation, not in the very near future. I mean, the House isn't even coming back until, I mean, we're doing some pro forma sessions, and of course we're doing a lot of committee meetings via, the web, but we're not back in DC until 30 June. So it's hard for me to see how any package is going to be anytime sooner than that. Now, what will that be? Who knows? You've got the Democrat wish list, and then you've got the senators and the Republican GOP in the House. So we're gonna push for zero more. We don't want any more spending unless it's absolutely necessary, and in very targeted. If we do it, it'll be in very targeted, groups that are in need.
And when we talk about the Democrat wish list, too, one of the things on the top of the priorities is mail-in voting. Do you think that's something that's going to become a little bit more of a heated debate going into the November elections?
I mean, it may become more of a debate, but the problem is I just had a friend send a picture of multiple ballot requests that were sent to his address for people who'd lived there 2, 3, 4 times, 4 people in that apartment. So it's pretty ridiculous to think that mail-in ballots are not going to create an opportunity for fraud. And so we're going to do everything we can. I mean, that fundamentally changes the nature of our democracy, and we can't allow it.
No, and the more steps you remove someone from the actual polling place, the more problematic it does become. You added another additional layer. It does become a little bit, it adds more security then. Different things come into the equation. So I think a lot of things will come at play when that does eventually become a debate. But Representative Mark Green, it's always a pleasure having you on. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.